I welcome you all in the class of social science. But today we all are here to start the political science chapter, and the name of the chapter is Outcomes of Democracy. Fine, it's a number 7. Before this, we have covered chapter 6, that was political parties, and now this is the last chapter of your syllabus, that is Outcomes of Democracy. After doing this, our political science syllabus will be over. Okay, so I'm just going to start the chapter. As you know that the chapter is Outcomes of Democracy, but before that you must know what is democracy. Okay, so we know that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Okay, it's a very good definition given by, you all are aware about this thing. Who has given this statement? Who has given this definition? Huh? He was the first president of USA. That was Abraham Lincoln. Okay, according to him, that was democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Fine. Here, people rule themselves via their representatives in the form of MLAs, MPs on the basis of equality. Democracy is having lots of features. Democracy is a better form of government. We know this. Okay, and what are the features who make it a better form of government? It promotes dignity of people, a very good feature of democracy. It promotes dignity of people. Second, it promotes equality. It improves the quality of decision making, and it provides a method to resolve conflicts and allows room to correct mistakes. So all these features tell us that they are a proof that democracy is a better form of government. Fine. Now we will move to the next topic. Now the next topic is that how does democracy produce an accountable, responsive, and legitimate government? It's a very important question. Always come in paper. Fine. So whenever you will receive this question, that why do people prefer democracy, or how it proves to be a accountable government, responsive, and legitimate government. So firstly we will discuss about the accountable government. Accountable government is a government which is answerable, or which is required to justify its actions or decisions. Fine. Such type of government we call a accountable government. Democratic government is answerable to the people or to the parliament. We know this. In a democracy, people elect their representative who form government, and if they don't work according to the wishes of the people have the right to change them. For example, Indian government is answerable to the parliament. So this all tells us that the democracy is an accountable government. Now we will move to the next topic, that is responsive government. Yes, responsive government is a government which respond positively to the needs and aspiration of whom? Of the people. The government takes decision, form policies which are acceptable to the people. Under this, whenever possible and necessary, citizens can participate in decision making. So this all tells us that the democracy is a responsive government. Now we will move to the next topic, that is legitimate government. Now what is legitimate government? Legitimate government is a government which works according to a set of rules. For example, government take decision by following norms and a proper procedure. Citizens are free to know if a decision was taken through a proper procedure. This is known as transparency. Okay, I'll just give you example here. In India, the government has provided citizens the Right to Information Act. Okay, and which empowers the people to find how the government is working. You all are aware about the right to information. Okay, it's an RTI. It's also known as RTI. Okay, and this act empowers us to find how the government is working. So this was all about that the accountable, responsive, and legitimate government. You can have a 3 marks question also related to these topics. Like you can be asked that what is accountable government? What do you mean by responsive government? What do you mean by legitimate government? So you can answer in these ways also, and collectively you can also ask the question. Now we will move to the topic that how the democracy promotes dignity and freedom of citizens. Okay. So we will definitely examine some conditions under which democracies accommodate social diversities. Fine. So first point we are having in this regard is that is human rights. Rights are necessary for the very sustenance of democracy. In a democracy, every citizen has the right to vote and right to be elected to the government. And for democratic election to take place, it is necessary that citizens should have the right to express their opinion, political parties, and take part in political activities. So, rights also perform a very special role in a democracy. Fine. They protect minorities, operations of majorities also. And now we will move to the next topic, that is reservation of seats in the parliament. This also ensures that democracy promotes dignity and freedom of citizen. Reservation of seats in the parliament. We know that to protect the rights of the weaker section, some democracies follows a system of reservation of seats in the parliament. For example, we will take the example of India here. In India, some constituencies are reserved for people who belong to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Fine. So now we will move to the next topic, that is dignity and freedom of women. Most of the democracies of the world treat women equal and provide all the rights to women. These rights have a legal base, so it becomes easier for women to wage a struggle against the male dominating society. Fine. In the non-democratic countries, what happened? This unacceptability would not have a legal basis because the principle of individual freedom and dignity would not have the legal and moral face there. Fine. So next we are having the topic in this regard, that is caste system in India. Caste system in India in democracy, if we talk about India, has strengthened the claims of the disadvantaged and discriminated castes for equal status and equal opportunities. There are still instances of caste based inequalities and atrocities, but these lack the moral and legal foundations. Perhaps it is this recognition that makes ordinary citizens value their democratic rights. People believe that their roles and their votes make a difference to the way the government is run and to their own self respect. Fine. So this was all about that democracy promotes dignity and freedom of citizen. We are having 4 points in this regard. Okay, we have discussed 4 points. First was human rights, second was reservation of seats, third was dignity and freedom to women, fourth caste system in India. Fine. Now we will move to the next topic, that what is the difference between democratic and non-democratic governments. It's also a very, very important topic, that what is the difference between democratic governments and non-democratic governments. Fine. Students, we know that democracy is based on the ideas of deliberation and negotiation, and on other hand, non-democratic government, no such deliberation and negotiations are held. Okay, so this was first point. Second point, in democratic government take into account the public opinion before reaching a decision, but in non-democratic governments do not care for the public opinion. Okay. Third, we are having there is some delay in taking decision due to deliberation and negotiation, but these decisions are effective. I'm talking about democratic government here. I'm again telling you, in democratic government, decision sometimes delay in taking decision due to deliberation and negotiations, but these decisions are effective. On the other hand, in non-democratic government, decisions can take quickly, but these are sometimes less effective and are forced on the people. You all are aware, I hope, that You all are aware about that democratic government. If we talk about, you can take the example of India, non-democratic countries like in which the monarchy system is there, dictatorship is there. Fine. So this was all about the democratic and non-democratic difference. You know that students, the role of democracy in eradicating inequality and poverty also? Yes, democracy is responsible for eradicating inequality and poverty. But how? I'll tell you. Most of the democracies are welfare states. Example, they look for economic equalities. And democracies are based on the principle of political equality. For example, all the citizens are given the right to vote, irrespective of their gender, caste, color, etc. And democratic government launches various employment schemes through which it eradicates poverty. For example, Manrega in India. I hope you all have aware about this term, Manrega. In economics, you have learned this term maybe. It is also in the syllabus of class 10th in economics. And many democratic government encourage small scale industries. Many democratic government provide free food, housing facilities to all the poor people. So in this way, we can say that the democracy also play a vital role in eradicating inequality and poverty. Fine. So now we will move to the next topic, that is, what are the social outcomes of democracy? Okay, but before that, we will discuss just the outcomes of democracy. We know that democracy is just a form of government. It can only create conditions for achieving something. We have done lots of positive points about democracy. We know that citizens have to take advantage and achieve goals. Okay, if we talk about the social outcome of democracy, so clearly cut question you can have in your exams also. So what points you can write in this? Like, it produces a harmonious social life. Democracy has the ability to handle social differences, divisions and conflicts. Democracy provides equal opportunities to all the social groups, and it provides equal opportunities. Seats are reserved for SCs and ST and other weaker section like women. Fine. Democracy also reduces tension becoming explosive and violent, and develop mechanism to negotiate the differences. Democracy also provides basic rights to all without any discrimination based on caste, color and creed. So just because of all these points related to society, related to socialism, we can say that these are the social outcomes of democracy. Democracy is also working for the society, for the better society. Okay, so now this was all about the social outcomes of democracy. Students, we have discussed a lot about democracy, that democracy is a better form of government. It's accountable, legitimate, responsive. You know that sometimes democracies also not appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequality. We are having lots of, statements that can support this answer. That question can come to you in this way also, like, do democracy lead to a just distribution of goods and opportunities? Okay, or in actual life, democracy do not appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequalities. So whenever you will receive such type of question, your answer should be actually, I just want to clear one thing. In actual life, democracy has failed in reducing economic inequalities. We can take the example of our India also. Still, lots of poor peoples are there. Poverty is there. We are followers of democracy. We are adopting the democracy here from the grassroots level even. Still, we are having poverty in our country. In most of the democratic regimes, share of poor people in the national wealth is very low. A small number of ultra-rich enjoy a highly disproportionate share of wealth and incomes. Not only that, their share in the total income of the country has been increasing. Those at the bottom of the society have very little to depend upon. Their incomes have been declining. Sometimes they find it difficult to meet their needs of life. Who? The people who come under BPL, below poverty line. Sometimes they unable to get their basic needs of life even. Like basic needs, what are the basic needs? Such as food, clothing, house, education, and health. Okay, so side by side we have to see this clear picture of democracy also, that democracy don't appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequality. Okay, examples are here we are having in front of us. We can take the example of best example of India also. Fine. So this was all about that democracy is unable to prove unable or successful in reducing economic inequalities. So with the completion of this topic, our chapter is also completed. So I'm going to wind up this session. Thank you so much. Okay, and you all are required to do the NCERT question answers on your notebooks, and do the revision from the chapter level resources and worksheets also. Thank you and stay blessed.